This is Professor Eric Earhart with an introduction to Microsoft Word cross-references, citations, and some other special topics. So I'm going to start by opening a new document. And first thing I'm going to do is populate this document with some text. So I've got some text here, 12 paragraphs of lorem ipsum. It's a pretend set of Latin words. And first thing I'm going to show you is there's a few types of pastes, right? So the default paste keeps the source formatting. So all the great background, things like that will get carried over. And that is brilliant for some applications in Word. Many times we want to merge the formatting with what is in our document. And sometimes even better than that, there may be some special characters or like types of line returns that in the merge formatting that we may not, that are sort of hidden to us, but we don't want to stay in there. And so keep text only is often the safest way of pasting where you don't want to disturb the formatting of the document you're pasting into. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to paste the text in there. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to acknowledge that in my editing, I don't need these footers and headers on my page, those margins. So I'm going to double click in that area to reduce the margin. I see where the page break would be, but now I'm not seeing those top and bottom margins, and I'm also not seeing my headers and footers. So the only risk of hiding this area is that if you have a header and footer that you're not aware of, you won't see it. So, all right, let's go back to the top. All right, show and hide codes. So the paragraph, so under the home menu or the home ribbon, the paragraph symbol shows and hides codes. And this is really handy when you're trying to discover what's going wrong with your text. You see all the letters there. You see these single dots wherever there's a space. You see line returns with the paragraph symbol, and you'll see all sorts of other things when there's more complication in your document. In particular, if you're wondering why something is happening, there might be a ton of spaces at the end of a line or something, and that's causing strange things. Also, there might be like a ton of line returns, which is causing unusual behavior. So revealing those codes is a way of troubleshooting issues. I never edit with that because it's too much visual noise. In fact, all this spell checking is a lot of visual noise. All right, styles. So let's take a look at styles. So under layout, under design, you get to choose different styles of your document. And, this sets the font size, the font, the typeface, the how large text is, formatting, headings, and all the spacing and underlines and all sorts of things that can happen with your document. I often choose, let's see if I've got this wide enough to see enough. I'm going to pull my window off your screen to reveal a few more options here. I often use old school Word 2003 because it doesn't have a lot of quirks. It's very simple, and because it's simple, it's what a journal would like to see typically without a bunch of fancy formatting. All right, once you've chosen a style, then under the home ribbon in your style menu, you have a bunch of styles that you can apply. The default, and you can see it with the gray box around normal, is normal. Okay, so right now all my text is normal. I'm going to add some things. I'm going to press enter a few times here. In fact, I'm going to Ctrl-A to select all, and I'm going to apply normal to everything just to make sure. Okay, nothing changed, so that's the way it is. So how about here is my title. That's going to be a title, and I'm going to let's create some headings. Introduction. Now, introduction is a heading. In fact, it's heading 1. You can see right now there's heading 1, heading 2, and title. And if I press the down arrow, it's going to scroll me through a few other pages of other styles. I recommend limiting your use of styles to the things that you really need and not get too fancy. It will keep your document looking really clean if you have just a few styles. Okay, I'm going to choose heading 1 for the introduction. Let's go down a few chapters or a few paragraphs and apply a few more headings. So there's some methods. Here's results. And if I have my cursor on the line and press it, it's going to apply it to that paragraph. Another more careful way of doing it is select the whole line. I'm doing that by clicking to the left of the line. That selects the whole line and applying it. So results, discussion, and how about some conclusions? Okay, and that's the end of my paper. Beautiful. All right, the nice thing about having some headings in here is you can create a table of contents. Oh, I do want to say something about the title. Okay, so let's apply this title there. All right, now let's make a table of contents. Under references, references will be a major ribbon for this video. I'm going to create a table of contents, and the first choice here is pretty good. Yeah, the only difference I think between tables 1 and 2 is one says contents and the other says table of contents. I think contents is probably enough. Okay, and that puts in a table of contents. Now notice we've got our title in the table of contents. Usually not what we want. So now this leads us to being able to start modifying our styles. So let's do this first. Right now, looks like I'm looking at the font up here. It's Calibri, and as I click through, basically everything's Calibri. I hate Calibri, so I'm going to right-click on Normal, Modify, and there are lots of options here. There's a bunch of stuff on this page, and then under Format, there's a bunch more. Usually the things you're going to care about are under Font and Paragraph, and possibly numbering, but mostly Font and Paragraph. All right, I'm going to change this to Arial. I hate both of these fonts, but Arial is for me the less worse of the Microsoft fonts. And I'm going to 12 point is fine for this demonstration. I'm going to click OK, and you can see that changed the text of the normal paragraph. It also changed oh no, it didn't change the text there. It didn't change it there either. Okay, but it did change all of the paragraph text to Arial. All right, let's change the title because it really shouldn't appear in the table of contents. So let's fix that. I'm going to right click on title, do modify, and here also we can do Arial. Okay, the main thing is that it's appearing in the table of contents. So under format, I believe under paragraph, it says outline level, level 1. So level 1 is the same as heading 1, and we don't want the title to be a heading. So I'm going to change this to body text. Okay, that's the paragraph stuff. That doesn't appear in table of contents. Other things in here are indentation and line spacing before the paragraph and after the paragraph. Often headings will have some additional spacing before and after. Okay, I'm going to click OK, OK. And now in the table of contents, I just did a normal click in there. It gave me an option to update table. I recommend not just updating page numbers because often you are updating the table of contents because you added or removed sections or something like that. So I can't do that right now. Always select update entire table. Okay, so that removed the title from the table of contents. Now we just have our main headings. All right, let's do a little bit more. Let's add some subheadings. So notice up here we've got heading 1, heading 2, and title. There's no heading 3 yet, but some details from the past. Okay, if I apply heading 2, now heading 3 becomes available. So they don't pre-populate a bunch of headings for you. More background. Heading 2. All right. Why you should care. Okay, heading 3. All right, etc. So let's update our table of contents again. Now, another way to update your table of contents, at least on a Windows machine, this has worked for decades. Ctrl-A will select everything in your document. F9, the function key F9, will update all of your cross-references, including tables of contents and tables of figures and tables of tables. So I will then always select update entire table and press OK. It would cycle through multiple tables if you had them, but that has updated all the tables. Okay, so now I've got introduction, etc. Great. What else do we have? So under styles, let's make this wide again so that we are revealing more of the options under the heading. I just want to modify the heading 1 and make that Arial. Bolds. Bolds good for heading 1, heading 2, etc. Okay, so these are just some things you might do at the beginning. You can also, after you get a style that you really like, you can save that style as your own style and then just use that each time you open Word. So you don't have to do all the formatting each time. All right, let me check. Okay, numbering. So sometimes you want your headings to be numbered. So I think I'm going to put my cursor on the heading. I'm not sure if you need to. I have a multi-level list up in my menu, but I don't remember whether I put it there or whether that is a default setting that everyone has. I'm going to assume that it's a default setting that everyone has. And there are different types of lists here for multi-level, but 3 or 4 of these at the bottom are different headings. And this, let's see, this one's pretty good. We've got Roman numerals for heading. Well, actually, I think I like the dot 1, 1.1, 1.1.1 for the heading. So I'm going to click on that one, and that will actually apply headings to all of the or numbering to all the headings. Okay. The only annoying thing here is that the table of contents heading is actually a heading 1 that doesn't appear in the table of contents. Let's see if by selecting that and applying the style, so if it is collapsed, you can click on it and it will pop out. If we apply it normal to that and then update the table, okay, this contents text is free to edit. Even though it's in the box for the table of contents, it is not a field code. You'll notice that I've got gray boxes. You won't have gray boxes on yours until you force Word to highlight field codes, and I'll show you how to do that shortly. I like to always see the field codes so that I don't go and edit them by accident. Okay, so I'm going to make contents a little bolder and maybe a little bigger. And maybe I will add a little bit of space after contents. Okay, something like that. All right. Line numbering. Okay, so all right, so let's create a new page for where the introduction can start. All right, so something that many people do is they just press enter a whole bunch of times, and if we reveal the codes by clicking on the paragraph, this is unstable. If you press enter until you go to the new page, once your contents gets longer, that's going to push down all these line returns, and that's going to force some blank line returns at the top of the page. Okay, that's a noisy way of doing it. So instead, press Ctrl-Enter. It inserts a page break, and that's where your new page starts. Okay. All right, so let's now think about line numbering. Line numbering is an easy thing to add. Probably under References or Insert. Maybe it's Insert. And you get points for seeing where I should go before I do. Maybe it's Layout. Here we go. Layout, line numbers. Okay. So if I do insert line numbers right now, it starts from the very beginning. Okay. So I'm going to do Ctrl-Z to undo. If we want instead to start at the introduction, we need to start a new section. And so under Layout, there's breaks, and there are page breaks, which is what I just put in down here. There's column breaks, which is like a page break, but if you've got multi-columns on a page, it ends a column and starts you at the next column. And then there are these section breaks. And one of these is what we want. So insert a section break and start a new section on the same page, okay? Or start a section on the next page. Let's do on the next page, okay? It's like a page break, but it also created a new section. And if we now apply line numbers, continuous, it starts at that section. So you can think of sections as almost like independent parts of your document for which formatting applies only within a section. And if we created a new section at the end here, I'm not sure whether the line numbers would continue or not. We could check that, or I'll leave it to the reader as an exercise. Okay. All right, so that is line numbering. All right, let's get to tables and figures. So let's create a table somewhere. I'm going to go over to Wikipedia, list of countries by population. I'm going to grab, say, the first 10 rows of this table and copy. Go back over to the document, and let's put that at the end of my introduction. Okay, so here's another case of paste. Okay, so if I just paste it, it'll have all the highlighting, the box shading, the different text colors. We can merge the formatting, which probably should change the font. Changing the font size and attributes. Text only, you'll notice, right? It doesn't actually maintain the table borders. It just gives us the text. That often is something that you'll need to do. I'm going to merge formatting. All right, I think another nice thing in this table is that it's repeating the header across a page break. Okay, that's sort of a nice feature. I'm going to create a page break before the table, just so the table gets on its own page, and I'll create a page break afterwards, so it's completely on its own page. Let's do some formatting of this table. So the first thing is this ruler. So if you don't see a ruler at the top of your screen, under View, there's an option to put that ruler in there. The nice thing about the ruler, it comes in handy for formatting things, making sure that you're, say, keeping an inch margin on each side and not extending out beyond that. But for tables especially, it gives you a way of sliding the boundary of columns very easily without the risk of breaking the line. Sometimes you can do it from inside, but also sometimes you may have experienced the case where you grab this line and it only shifts the boundary between cells, between the two cells that you're working on, and not the entire column. but grabbing it up here always does it for the entire column. It seems also to have more power. You can see that I'm grabbing this here and I can move it to a limited extent. Oops. Okay, if you highlight a cell, that's when you break that. Undo. Okay, but you can see I can't really move it very far, but if I grab it up top, I can move it as far as I want. All right, so that gives me a little more power. All right, this text is definitely all too big. I'm going to click on the table grabber up here on the left, and by clicking on that, you're highlighting the whole table. That's also the only really good way to delete a table. You highlight that, you right click on it, and then you select delete table. Otherwise, if you highlight it and press the delete key, it deletes the contents but leaves the table frame there. Okay, so all I'm going to do here is I'm going to say I want all the text to be a bit smaller. Let's make sure that it's maybe font size 10, maybe Arial. What else? We had some green text and blue text, so let's change the font color to automatic. That should make it all black. Okay, and now we can move some of these column sizes around and maybe get everything within the margins. The other thing is we've got some numbers here, and numbers should probably be right aligned. So I'm going to very quickly do that. Right align the numbers, and all the text or wordage should be left aligned. Okay, good enough. Now we're at tables and figures. Okay, captions. Let's add a caption to this figure and then cross-reference it somewhere. So if I click on so there's a few ways of adding a caption. One is you can select the table by clicking on the little cross up here, right click, and there is an insert caption down here. So let me do it that way for now. Though another way is under references, you can add caption here. Okay, those do the same thing. Different journals have different styles here. Typically, tables put their captions at the top and figures put their captions at the bottom. So we've got the actual caption. This is a table. Okay, we have other labels though. We have figures and equations. I've also created a figure A and a table A for tables and figures that go in the appendix, so that the numbering of the figures restarts at 1. But we just have a table here. Do you want it above or below? This is a table, so we're going to have it above. And that's it. So we can start typing the caption here. Usually I add a little bit of text here. So this is like country populations. Okay. And there's my caption. A caption is a style. Okay, so if I want that to look different than it does, I'm going to go down to, where is it? I hate being surprised by things like this. Caption definitely is a format, but I don't see it here. Let's see. Styles. Okay, well, usually I'm accustomed to seeing it showing up as a style. I'm just going to set this to normal. So it appears like everything else. Okay. So there's my caption. You can see that this number is gray. Okay. In fact, let me do one more thing. Let me cite this figure. Let's see. Country populations are provided in, and we're going to cross-reference what they're provided in. All right. So let's go to references, cross-references. Okay. It's under the captions section. Okay. Now, the defaults in this are the super worst. They never default to what you actually want. So you can see it defaults to numbered item, which is right now the paragraphs that are numbered. So we want to select in here. We don't want headings, bookmarks, footnotes, endnotes, equations. We want figures or tables almost always. And they're at the bottom of the list. So I'm going to cross-reference a table. We don't want to insert it as a hyperlink. So I'm going to just deselect that. Furthermore, we don't want to insert the reference to the entire caption. We only want the label and the number. So that is what you need to go through. Finally, when you have multiple tables, they're going to appear here, and you select the one that you want. And click Insert. Now we have a reference here to Table 1. In a moment, we're going to add something else, and this table number is going to update automatically for us. All right, I'm going to close the cross-reference window. Okay, let's take a short detour to field codes and making sure that they highlight in your document so that you know the difference between text that you've typed and text that the document is automatically putting in there that's referencing some other text. Okay, so first go over to File and down to Options, and Word Options Advanced, and scroll down a few sections to show document content. There's field shading, and the default is probably never, or maybe when selected, but set it to always. That way you always see what text has field codes. Field codes are basically special information that generates text for you automatically based on some conditions. For example, if you, let's do this up in the table of contents. So say you didn't like some of the table of contents and you wanted to like edit some things up here, okay? Did whatever. Okay, so because these are field codes behind here, when you update the table, it updates the content in front of the field codes. So that's why editing text that is derived from field codes is not effective. You actually need to go to the source that feeds into the field codes. Okay. All right. Let's add another table. And because I'm not too creative in this, let's see if here we go. List of Arab countries, and we'll just make a short table here. I'm going to copy that, go over to Word, and let's put it up here. I'm going to paste special. I almost never paste directly. Okay, and this might be a good time to use paste or the format painter. You know what? I think it's going to be easier just to do this. Okay, so I forget what it was. Maybe 10 Arial. Change the text to black. Okay, and then I'm not even going to bother doing some additional formatting. Let's select the table. This time I'll do right click and add a caption, insert caption. Okay, it is a table, and this is Arab populations. Okay, it's a table above, perfect. Click OK. So now we've got the caption is table 1. Let me scroll down for a moment. This table number updated. Okay, this table cross-reference is referencing table 2, but it hasn't updated yet. Okay, if I right click on it, I can update field. So I'll do that right now, and it updates to table 2. But that process of updating your fields by going through and right-clicking is not a way to do it. Instead, you want to, if I do undo, we'll put it back, yes. And I still got my table 1. Instead, you want to do Ctrl-A to select all. You want to press F9, and you want to select entire table and just press OK. That updates all of your field codes in your entire document, and then all your cross-references are up to date again. Okay, so Arab populations in references, cross-references. Now, if you've been working on here, it will keep your settings, but always check them. Table, the label and number, not a hyperlink. Select table 1, insert, and there I've got my cross-reference in my text. Okay, something else you can do, especially when you're editing a paper and you want to, have a place where you can see the whole structure. Table of contents is a nice place to look at the structure of your document. Also, you can put in tables of tables and tables of figures. Insert table of figures. So I'm going to click on this option up here, and table of figures. There should be a caption label. Okay, so we don't want hyperlinks. Show page numbers. That's fine. That's fine. Right align. Okay, caption label. This is which label do you want to create a table for? So of the tables that we have, table 1 and table 2, I want a table that has those in it. Okay, so I'm going to click OK, and there's a table of tables. All right. Table of tables. Okay, so I'm just typing that, and then table of figures. And we could put that here. In fact, I'm going to create it. We don't have any figures, so there's nothing to go there. Remove the hyperlinks, right? You have to go through and make sure that all the settings are the way you want. Okay, we'll say okay. Okay, right now there's no figures, so no table of figures entries found. So later on when we add a figure, it'll be there. All right, let me look at my plan here. Captions, cross-references, table of contents, tables, aligning columns with the, okay. So that's all the tables and figure stuff that I wanted to discuss. Let's get to citations. Okay, so we're going to make a big shift here. Let me bring more of the window into your view. And for this, we're going to use Zotero, though you could use, this applies equally well, I'm sure, to EndNote and Mendeley and any other modern bibliography manager. All right, so let's go down to, let's work in methods. And I wish I knew how to turn off the spelling, the spell checking, because all that red is annoying me. All right, so I got Zotero Zotero installed, there is an app that, or a plugin for Microsoft Word for Zotero, and there's also the program Zotero that you need to have installed. Excuse me. All right, so we're going to work on adding some citations from a library into our document. And let's actually just create a new collection. Okay, we'll call it test, and I have nothing in there. So let's learn how to quickly populate some citations into Zotero, how to edit them in here, and then how to include them in the document. So I'm going to go to Google Scholar, and I'll put this window fully in your view in a moment. Okay, so I've used UNM's, the University of New Mexico's login for Google Scholar, so I'll have more access to articles. Let's search for something fun. I don't know. Okay, principal component analysis. That's as fun as it gets. All right, so we're searching through citations. We find the article that we want. We go down to Cite, and there's going to be several options, and one of the options is BibTeX. BibTeX is a bibliography formatting style for LaTeX, which is a markup language, and it will basically everything you write in text in LaTeX uses codes to determine its formatting. So this is the bibliography format in BibTeX. It says that this is an article, which is different than a book or a thesis or white paper, things like that. It has a key, which is the way to reference this citation, which is a unique key just to this citation. It has the title of the article, has the authors. This author has, an acute symbol over the E because they're from another country. Has the journal, volume number, pages. A double dash gets formatted as a minus sign in LaTeX, or rather an N dash. And so that's why that appears here. The year and the publisher, and there may be other fields as well. And these different fields are delimited by commas. So I'm going to press Ctrl-A to select all. I'm going to do Ctrl-C to copy. I'm going to go over to Zotero. And in this window, you can paste the content of your clipboard. You go to File, Import from Clipboard. And if you're doing this a lot, you learn the keystroke. Control-Shift-Alt-I for import. So you mash, you basically play like a piano chord on your keyboard. So I'm going to do that. Control-Shift-Alt-I. Okay, and that pasted that item into my collection. You can see a lot of additional fields down below when this item is selected. So there's info, there's notes, tags, and related. I think notes is for you to put in for your own good. Info is really the stuff that you would modify. I think if you want to add authors, you press the plus sign here and you can add the author. Okay, anything to correct would be done here. So let's add just a few more so we've got some things to play with. What is principal component analysis? BibTeX, Control-A, copy over to Zotero. Just click somewhere in this window and then the import from clipboard. And right now I'm not looking to see if any of this is correct. I'm just adding those. Okay. Let's see, a tutorial. Sure. In the archive. Okay, so I've added 3 citations, and now they are available to me in Microsoft Word. So we'll go over to Microsoft Word. I've got Zotero open. I don't know how to select which library I'm pulling from, but let's just go to an end of the first paragraph. I'll go inside the period and add edit citation. Oops. It opened a new window. It wants to know what formatting style or citation style do I want to be using. Okay, so actually it doesn't matter very much initially because you can always change it. Now the way it could matter is because there are some citation styles where you put like the author year before the period, and there are other citation styles where you put a number after the period. So you do want to at least get that part right. I don't know. APA is probably fine. So fields recommended, English, not using bookmarks, using fields instead. Automatically update citations. So this can take a long time if you've got lots and lots of citations in a very long document. Every time you make a change, it goes through the entire document and make sure that everything is updated. But initially probably keep it on so that everything's always up to date. All right, so then it pops up this little window, and I'm going to start typing in here, and it's going to look in my Zotero library for that item. And let's see, can I get enough of this on the screen so we can sort of see what's happening? I'm going to start typing principal component analysis, PR. So you can see it looks in my library, it finds something here. There's another library here, the Picori library. In my library, there's this principal component analysis. I'm going to keep typing PRINC I PAL. Okay. And I'm going to click on the first one. Okay. And so this is what it's going to display. Or this is the authors and the year. And you can keep typing. So let's do another one. Principal component. What is principal component analysis? We'll do both of those together. And if I press enter, it will put the citation right in there. Notice that it's gray, so it's a field code. If I modify this and then Ctrl-Alt F9 and update all the field codes, let's see if it fixes this one. It didn't. There's a way to like restore update field. No, there's a way to, I think, a way to fix it. Okay, so I clicked refresh under the Zotero ribbon. I clicked refresh, and I'll show you this. It's got a little bar. It's thinking about it, and it says you have modified this citation since Zotero generated it. Do you want to keep your modifications and prevent future updates? So you get to say yes or no, and it says what the original was and what the modified is. So there are some times when you just want the year in there, and so that's a case where you can edit it and then tell this that yes, I want to keep my changes and not modify it anymore. Or you can say no, and it will restore them to the way they were originally. Okay. The real danger is going in here and saying, oh, I only want one of these authors or one of these papers, so I'm going to delete one of them. Well, the field code still has both of them in there. And if you refresh it and you say no, you see that the both authors are still in there. So what you need to do instead is with your cursor somewhere on the citation, add or edit citation. You can see that they're both here, and now I'm going to press backspace, remove it, press enter. Now I have only the one citation. Okay. Let's look at the bibliography. So bibliographies usually go at the bottom. Okay. So let's add, I think you can just do add or edit bibliography. Okay. Boom. There it is. Okay. Bibliography. That can be a heading 1 under the style. Okay. There's the bibliography. And it will include only those citations that, only those references that you've cited somewhere in the document. So let me just add a few other citations here. There is a keystroke to add a citation. Okay, I'm just going to click on there. So let's see, principal component analysis, what is it? And let's do the other one too, principal component analysis tutorial. Now notice, if you've already cited it, it tells you which one you've cited to sort of help you be consistent if you meant to cite the same thing. Because if you have a big bibliography library, a lot of citations look similar to each other. Okay, so I've added those two now. Let me scroll down to the bottom and see that the bibliography has also automatically updated. All right, let's do one more thing, or let's do this next thing, at least, for the bibliography. So let's go to Document Preferences, and we're going to change the formatting style. Okay, let's see, I bet IEEE is probably a numeric type. So let's do that. IEEE, I'm going to press OK. You can see that the citations changed in the bibliography. And if we go up to here, now we've got 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so things are working like they should. I think the one thing that you can do, if you want to delete an entire citation, I think you can probably do that by just highlighting and deleting. It's probably even safer, though, to just do edit and remove it like that. Oh, I guess that doesn't do it. Add, so I deleted it, press enter. Oh, okay, so I guess to delete something, you actually do need to highlight it and press delete. If I did that, it should remove it from down here. Nope, if I refresh, then it goes away. Okay. Okay, so you can delete it, but if you want to modify it, you really need to do the edit citation. All right, let me review my table of contents, my plan here. Zotero, editing it in Zotero. I didn't really talk about that very much. If you're unhappy with the way it came over from Google Scholar, because it doesn't always get it right, but it does pretty good most of the time. Say this was really pages. Sometimes it's just like the first page number and not all the page numbers. So you can just go in here and type it. And once you do that, let's see. This is what is principal component analysis? It's the first one here. You can see I just changed the page number to 308. Right here in the text, it says 304 as the ending page number. So I'm going to click out of here. Okay, so it's saved it here. Let's go over to Word. Let's refresh. And now it's changed this to 308. So never modify it in your document. Always modify it in your bibliography manager. All right. Maybe one word of caution. If you are not in possession of the bibliography manager, do not make modifications to the citations or bibliography in your document. You will probably break something. Instead, and discuss this with your colleagues, but probably instead, go to review, add a comment, and say new citation, right? And name, year, title, okay, and put the just put the information there for the person who has the bibliography library. If you start trying to modify things and you don't have the library, the field codes aren't going to find the new information that it needs. If you do have Zotero, there are ways to have group libraries, and you can share the library between you. And then you're both, anytime you make a change, it gets synchronized to the other person. So that's the better way of doing this if you're both using the same bibliography manager. Field codes. Yeah, okay, that's everything for citations. All right, the next set of topics are special topics. So, all right, the first special topic is landscape pages. So sometimes you've got like a table or a figure that doesn't fit portrait, but it does fit landscape on a page. And you want to make the paper be, oh, where'd that table go? Sorry. You want that paper to be landscape so the stuff fits. So the way to do this is with sectioning. All right, so we go to layout, breaks. Basically, I want this table on its own page, landscape. So I'm going to do breaks. Let's do a section break, continuous. I think we need to do next page. Okay, so I'm going to do a section break before. I'm going to do a section break after. Okay, and I had additional page breaks in here. Let me get rid of these. All right, let's see where we're at. So we have section 1. We've got this additional page break, so I'm going to remove that because the section break is giving me a page break. Then we've got the next page where the table is. We've got the section break, which gives a new page. And then we had this page break from before, so I'm going to press delete a couple times. Okay, and that's where our new methods is. So within this section, here, let me remove that just for a moment. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now you can see the section break before and after. We just want to take this one page and turn it to landscape. Okay, so I've got my cursor on that page. I think if you want to do with more, you could highlight multiple pages if you wanted, I believe. Though actually maybe it applies to everything within the section. So let's just do landscape. You can see it added more margin off to the right. If I double click here, we see now that the paper, let me zoom out. Okay, is landscape. And so now if I had a big table, it fits just fine. All the line numbering is retained, I believe. 33 before, 34, 35, etc., 40 afterwards. So that's how to create a landscape page via sectioning. Let's skip that for now. Symbols. So sometimes, especially like with fluid biomarkers, there's things like A beta and P tau and things like that. And there are different ways of getting a beta symbol, right? So beta is actually, you could change the font from whatever you're using to a Greek font, but that's a very dangerous thing to do because then you have inconsistent font. It's much better when you've got single symbols to do an insert and then symbol and then find the symbols that you need. I'm just going to go to more symbols. Nice thing about this window is you can make it nice and big, and if that helps you find the symbols more easily, there's also subsets, and so I'm looking for Greek. So here is Greek and Coptic, and I think there's also Greek extended, which usually just has all the not acrylics, what are they called? All the symbols above the letters, acrostics, something like that. Anyway, Greek. All right, so we're looking for beta. Here's our beta, and you can verify it's the letter that you want by looking at the bottom and seeing Greek small letter beta, because many symbols look alike. So that's a way of making sure you got what you want. Then you can press insert. Now I've got my beta. and maybe I want to put that beta here, a beta. Okay, that is the right way to insert individual symbols. The reason why is because when you look at the font for that letter, it's still Arial, and so it's all consistent. It means that if this was in a paragraph, sometimes a beta is an issue with dementia. Hope I spelled that right. If someone were to highlight some text and say, well, that doesn't look, some of this text doesn't look quite right, so then they highlight it and apply the normal style. Normal style is Arial, but if you instead had a letter B, here, let's try to do this, that using a Greek font. I didn't test this before recording this, but I believe maybe there are other fonts like Symbol. Anyway, here we go. Symbol. Symbol is basically like Greek letters. Okay, so I took my letter B. In fact, if I've got symbol now, so A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. Okay, those are all Greek letters. But if I highlight that and do style normal, poof, it's now just Arial Roman letters. Not what we wanted. Okay, so that's how to insert symbols. Also, minus signs. Is it +1 or -1? Okay, so this symbol from the keyboard is a hyphen. That's not a minus sign. Insert symbol. I have it here, but I'll go to more symbols, and I think it's under, I think there's some math symbols around here somewhere. Mathematical operators. Okay, here's something that looks like a minus sign. I verified it down here. It says minus sign. And I'll click insert. Okay, and I wrote right over the hyphen, so now it's a minus. And the reason why that is important is it takes the same space as the plus sign, and a hyphen is really sort of a wimpy symbol compared to a minus sign. So whenever possible, especially if, say, you've got a table with numbers like this. Here, let's put in some minus signs here. Minus, 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 minus. Okay, there's a whole column of minus signs. So this is not necessarily something I would change one at a time, but at the end I would look through for numbers, and I would probably do something like Ctrl-F for find, the down arrow for replace, put in a hyphen, put in, let's see, how do we get a minus sign in here? This might be a little tricky. Can I do insert? Symbol? Now, if you've inserted symbols, they'll show up the ones that you've most recently used. Minus sign. Where did that minus sign go? Went here where my cursor was. That's not where I wanted it, but I can grab it and paste it now. Okay, so I'm looking for hyphens. I'm going to replace it with minus signs. Let's find next. I found that one, and I can do replace, replace, replace. Not too fast for it. Okay, and then it's jumping. It's looking for other hyphens. I don't see where it's found one. Oh, right here, southeastern. Okay, let's find next. We're not going to replace that one. Okay, we're done searching the document. So I found all the minus signs. Now they're minuses instead of hyphens. All right, what's next? Track changes showing all markup versus simple. So review, people who edit documents together often use track changes, and to reflect what they've been working on. I didn't like your first sentence, so my first sentence is better than yours. Okay, and this can get quite complicated if you've got multiple people making multiple edits to the same thing. You've got to work within your team to find a way to address when are you going to accept changes, things like this. But one thing you can do to help simplify it is change what you view. So right now I'm viewing all the markup. You can do a simple markup, which shows a line at the side indicating that there's something on this line that has changed. We don't see what it is, but there's something there. You can do no markup, where you don't even see where there are changes. Or you can see the original. That's basically like an undo. That's probably dangerous because it doesn't show that changes have been made. I often work with all markup, but when things get complicated, go to simple markup, make the changes so that they appear correct, and then you can go back to all markup if you need to. All right, showing comments. So I only have one comment in the document right now. Show comments. So contextual is, I think, the way I've got it right now. It shows a little comment symbol, and then it shows it right next to it. When there's tons of comments, sometimes it gets sort of hard to manage. Newer versions of Microsoft Word have done much better about what it shows here, and that it collapses the boxes so that more can fit on a page. But sometimes you just have so many comments that you have to go to a list. And you'll have a list of all the comments over here on the side. I think that if you're on a different page and you click on the comment, it will bring you to the place where the comment is. So that's sort of nice. You know, if you've got a long document, you have just a dozen comments here, you can just go to each comment, click on them, it'll jump to the location in the document, you can address it. So there's those two ways of viewing those comments. All right, oh yeah, view. So oftentimes we're working on a document, we're working on something above and below at the same time. So you can view new window. That creates, well, another window with the same document in it. Okay, so let me try to arrange this on the screen so we can sort of see what's happening. So I'm looking at the top of the document on the left, I'm looking at the bottom of the document on right, the bottom of the document on my left. And anything you change in one is changed in the other one. Okay, so if I get the same location here, here's a modified introduction or sentence to start. Okay, so if any change you make in one appears in the other one, it's just you have two windows into the document. And if you've got multiple monitors or you've got a nice wide monitor, you can split your attention. This is what I often do on a big monitor or multiple monitors, so I can review. Oops, I don't see my zoom down there, but I think it's off the bottom of the screen. There it is. Okay, so then I can be scrolling up and down on both of them and making edits and being able to review things. One common way of that I use this is I might have, say you put all your tables and figures down at the bottom of the document, you might have all of those collected at the bottom. Let's just do that if we can pretty quickly. So, oops, okay, that's a good point. So if you're going to move tables and figures around or making big changes to things like that, you might turn off your track changes while you do that, because just moving things around is not really worthy of those changes, in my opinion. You don't need to track those. It's not really content related. You know what? I'm going to change the order of these just to cause trouble. So if I modify, let's see, first I'm going to just set that to normal. Okay, so now I'm going to notice that the table numbers are in a different order, table 2, table 1. If I do Ctrl-A to select everything and press F9 to update all the fields, it's numbered them in their order, table 1, table 2. So it's as they appear. It's not as the cross-references appear, okay? It's the actual order of the tables or figures dictate their numbering. But that's the beautiful thing about using the cross-references and the citations appropriately, is that when you want to move things around or add a table or remove the table, all the numbering throughout the document is automatically correct. So I hope I've convinced you to use that. All right, show new window. View ruler, I think we viewed the ruler. We talked about inserting the page breaks. Oh, headers and footers. Headers and footers, for scientific documents, I think are helpful. Sometimes the journals request that. They're also good for if you're printing copies, to have the date and time on the pages so you know what version you're working on. So let's see. I just right-clicked up. So first thing I did was I revealed, so I've been working in a form where I hide the headers and footers. If I double-click, now I've got the space up there. If I right-click up there, I've got an edit header. If I right-click over here, edit footer. Okay, so let's add a page number to the top. I'll click edit header and put you up there. And I'm going to create a lot more space. Let me close one of these two windows. And that's better. So I'm editing the header. We should have a place to, here's a page number. Okay, top of page, it gives you some options. I often do something like page 1 of 1, because it's helpful for me to know how many pages there are in a document. Let's see. Okay, good. That's what I want to show you. Okay, so right now we've got text right justified. Notice that there's a left margin. There is a center. Is upside down T indicates there's a tab character that is centered. And then there's a right the right part. So right now there's just some text. If I use the right and left arrows, I can move in here, but if I'm pressing the left arrow now, I'm not finding anything to the left. Okay, I'm going to press the tab key once, and now if I press the left arrow, I can go between the middle of the page and the right margin. If I press the tab key one more time, now I've got 3 places: the left, the middle, and the right. Okay, so now I might do something like Gerhard et al. Okay, and maybe I actually put that in the center. And then on the left, maybe I put, let's see, the date and time. Oh, here's date and time. Okay, so I'll click on that. Oh, something pretty terse might be good. I don't need the seconds, but here we go. Okay, so now I always have the date and time on the document from when it was last edited, and I've got the page numbers. And I'd probably format these in a different way in a real document, but good enough. Over here on the right, I can close the header and the footer, and that content will always be there. All right. You know what, I have a couple more items, but I think that's probably enough. I think we've learned a lot on here. And, you know, at the end of, so imagine this was a paper for publication. Usually you don't include all these table stuff up here. So, you know, when you're ready to go, click on the show hide so you can sort of see where things are. You can highlight between the paragraph symbols to select. You can get rid of that. You know, we can even have, well, I guess we can have an abstract. And maybe that's also you know what, that probably doesn't appear in the table of contents, the abstract. So I'm just going to do normal and make it bold or something. There is actually a format for this. It would be like strong. Okay, there. And then you drag your abstract, etc. Okay, so we made a document. We've got cross-references that show up very easily, right? It's very obvious where those cross-references are. There's some citations. There's my bibliography that was created automatically. And these captions. Oh, the other thing is, oh, you know what? I do have one more thing. Sometimes journals want the tables, but then they just want the figure captions, right? So let's add a couple figures. I want to. Here we go. I just want to find a. Okay, so here's a pie chart. Oh, that's terrible. Here's a map. I'm going to copy image and paste that over here. All right, and I'm going to right click, insert caption. Now this isn't a table, this is a figure, and it goes below the item. Okay, so world map. Okay, so there's the caption of the world map. Let's go find one more image. Oh, sure, we'll use this pie chart. Oh, right click. Oh, it's not an image, it might be generated. That's pretty cool. All right. Is there okay, list of countries. Here we go. Here's an image. Copy. Paste. Right click. Insert caption. Figure. Rows of flags. All right. I'm curious now about, see, usually there's a caption style. Oh, you know what? I think I know where it is. It's hiding. So there is so these are like the main styles, but there's more styles than this. There's this little drop down, and if you do that, it will show you a window with all the styles. It's got tons of stuff in here. Easy to become overwhelmed, but we want to find the caption. Okay, and we want to modify the caption. Here we go. So we want to use Arial. I don't know. It is a caption, so maybe it's slightly smaller. Let's make it 11 point. Italics is not good. It's got a font color here. I'm just going to do automatic, so it's black, I hope, or force it to be black. I think automatic will make it black. That's probably good enough. I'll say OK. Okay, so now it's modified those captions. Let's go see if it's modified the captions. Oh, you know what? Because I applied normal format, these are now normal. Let's apply caption to those so that all the captions have the same formatting. Okay, it looks like the captions are bold. I don't like that. It's not bold. Let me go under font. It might be, well, Arial regular. There's nothing special here that would make it bold. Maybe it's just how it looks because of the font size. Yeah, it's not bold. Okay, so now this is where to find caption, right? That was this little drop-down arrow under the styles. That's where additional styles are. Okay, so now the captions look the same. So the point I was going to make is sometimes a journal wants your table, wants the figures, wants the tables in the document, but it wants the captions of the figures and not the figures themselves in the document. So in that case, you work with the document as it is. You've got the captions in there, etc. Let's make this figure a little smaller so the caption appears with it. Okay, so when you're done and you're ready to submit, you just go in here and delete the figures. All right, and now you've got the figure captions right there, and you've got the cross-references to those captions inside the document. We didn't add any of those cross-references to the figures, but they would be there. Okay, now if you delete this and update your cross-references, things break. So try to maintain the integrity of all your cross-references and the sources of your cross-references. That is, those captions. Yeah, I think that's everything I want to talk about. So I hope that was helpful, and I know that will make collaborations easier if we're all using the same type of formatting.